Hey, is this Dustin?
Yes, this is Dustin.
Dustin, this is Jeff LaBar. How are you?
I am excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Awesome. It's great to have you on today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, getting started here, I'll kind of ask you, what made you want to start playing music in the beginning? What got you interested?
My older brother. It was my older brother, Jack. He's about 5.5 years older than me, and he started playing guitar, and he actually, back in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, he actually got the whole family interested in music. And he started getting me into actually playing guitar, playing folk music, and early on it was Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and before you knew it, I was going to concerts with my parents. So yeah, it was Jack and my parents that started me out.
So then, how did that transition into you, playing in guitar in Cinderella? How did you wind up with that?
Well, my older brother Jack, once again, he was taking guitar lessons, or he was playing guitar, and I started playing his guitar after school. He worked after school, so I started just fiddling around, basically just dancing in front of a mirror to records. And he caught me and said, "Hey, you want to actually play that thing, or you want to dance in front of a mirror?" I was like, "Oh, I never thought of that." So he put me down he sat me down, showed me 3 chords, and put some songbooks in front of me, and I took it from there. Started playing by ear to like Zeppelin and Alice Cooper records, and I just kept on playing through junior high school. Started forming bands. I kept playing in bands through my teen years, and when I got into my 20s, started playing clubs with a few different bands. But I kept moving on, and the opportunity came up to audition for Cinderella, who had gotten a record deal, but only Tom and Eric got the record deal. And I played in one of the bands that used to open for Cinderella in the Philly, South Jersey area. And Tom asked me to audition. I did. And it's probably too late for a long story short, but I got the gig in '85. So we demoed and played around for about another year until we started recording night songs.
So since you were opening for those guys back then, it probably was more of a smooth transition for you to join that band, even though they were already together?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a pretty smooth transition because at the time when I was opening for them in another band, I would always, as soon as we were done, I'd go to the dressing room and change as fast as I could and get right down front row, and I would always imagine myself as their guitar player. I was like, "Oh man, I'm so much better than him." Jokingly. I mean, I was thinking, "Oh, I would fit in this band so well." And apparently Tom and Eric thought so too.
Yeah, and you mentioned the album Night Songs, and that was obviously a huge hit, and pretty quickly. Were you kind of surprised by how quickly that album sold when it first came out?
Yeah, I was. I mean, while we're recording it, I thought this was a great opportunity. I didn't know what was going to come of it, but the record label was behind us, and every time we needed a little more money, every time we went over budget recording it, they'd send somebody out and listen to what we're doing and say, okay, and would okay the money. So, things were happening real quick as far as it started selling, and the label set us up with a tour, and then another tour, and it snowballed pretty quickly. Going for Us and Poison, opening up for the Japanese metal band Loudness for 2 weeks, and we started on the West Coast in theaters, small theaters, auditoriums, and both Us and Poison were up for David Lee Roth's first solo tour, and we got it. And I was like, "Oh man, game on!" We did 5 months opening for DLR, and then 7 months opening up for Bon Jovi, who was on the same label, had a Slippery When Wet out.
Sure.
And the same guy signed both of us. The guy that signed Bon Jovi also signed us.
Wow.
So yeah, in '87, that was the tour. That was the biggest tour of the year. I mean, Bon Jovi had sold at that point 9 million records, and we had sold 3 million. Our debut record, and both on Mercury Polygram. So, and Bon Jovi was number one at one point. Bon Jovi was number one on the Billboard charts, and we were number 3, only to be separated by the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Yeah, and the metal scene in the mid '80s obviously seemed like a crazy time. Was it just kind of nuts at all times, or what are your memories of that?
My memories are very vague, as you can imagine. But no, it was just so much fun. I didn't realize life could be that decadent, and I could survive. But yeah, we pretty much had license to kill, and I tested that license on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and it sounds like maybe was there kind of a sense of camaraderie with the other bands around that time, or were you kind of hostile, or was it more competitive?
Oh no, absolutely no. Everybody was so cool. Yeah, everybody was so cool. At first, David Ross, we were treated as the kids that we were until we proved our manhood, basically, and then they treated us as such. Once we overcame, maybe sold a few records, they treated us as, you kind of, as children, you got to prove to your parents that you're worthy. But once we got out with Bon Jovi, they were just fantastic. We all hung out together, they would be on the side of the stage watching us. We would be on the side of the stage watching them, and after the show, we'd hang out. All that stuff. Bon Jovi was pretty much the best band we could have ever learned from, and we did. We learned a lot from them. I know I did, and that moved on. That moved on to our second tour opening for AC/DC and Judas Priest until we started headlining with bands like Bullet Boys and Winger and Nelson and I can't think of who else, but the bands that opened for us, we tried to treat as such. We tried to treat them the same way.
Sure.
As we were treated and as we would like to be treated. Invited them up on stage to play with us on the encore, which Bon Jovi did every night. They invited us on stage to play a song or two for the encore. And we did that with our opening bands every night, too.
Well, and I know some of those later Cinderella albums kind of switched to more of a bluesy sound, I guess you would call it. Was that a conscious decision on the band's part, or what are your reasons for that?
No, I think we were always like that. I just think it didn't show as much on the first record. Your first record, when we got signed, we had about 50, maybe 60 songs to choose from. And there were some obvious songs that were going to go on the record. And I think the production of the record and the times kind of lent itself to the 80s sound. And I think some of the songs just didn't come off as sleazy or as bluesy, if you will. But the second record showed more what we were about, and showed more what we were like live and all. I think the first record didn't show that as well as we would have liked.
Well, I know you have a new solo album that's coming out pretty soon, One for the Road. Can you kind of tell the listeners what we can expect from that?
Oh, sure. Well, I come from my musical tastes, I started out listening to folk music, playing acoustic guitar and singing on my bed when I was like 10, 11 years old. Bands like the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac, and even like Al Stewart and Cat Stevens. So I've always been into that, and I've always been singing. From there, I went to the classical rock bands like Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd. And then I discovered, of course, Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. So, and then, as I got older, heavy metal became Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. And then it was Metallica and Anthrax.
Sure.
So I think my record represents a lot of that. I've been threatening to do a solo record for years. And finally, when Tom Kiefer put out his solo record, he had told me that he was going to do it in 2012 at the end of a Cinderella tour. And, I mean, literally getting off the bus at the end of that tour, my wife, Debbie, and my manager, Larry Morand, were like, now you have to do it. So they kicked my ass all the way down the street into the studio. So I was like, basically they finally called me on it, called me on all my threats. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I recorded a few songs with the help of my engineer, Ronnie Honeycutt, and Troy Lucetta from Tesla threw down some drum tracks for me. And I went in and did everything else. I did all the guitars, bass, keyboards, and all the vocals. And at the end, around somewhere in 2013, I was like, okay, I think I got this. So Larry got me a deal with Rat Pack Records. And then Joe O'Brien at Rat Pack took it from there. We put together this 7-song EP and figured, okay, these days with the short attention span theater that I think music fans are these days, I mean, a lot of the young pop artists are putting out one song at a time, releasing it to iTunes, or putting out a mini album or an EP. I was like that. Joe and I thought that was the way to go, and maybe we could do 7 songs and even call it side A with like another 7 in the works. And I could, once this is done, one for the road, I could do another 7, call it side B, or call it 2 for the road.
So do you have a tour coming up for this new one then too, or are you still on the road with Cinderella? Oh, no, Cinderella's not touring at the moment. I think Tom is still out there promoting his solo record. Eric Brittingham. We do a lot of side projects when Cinderella's not working. So we were doing a band called Cheap Thrill until I was putting this record out. So he's doing something with Tracy Guns and Ricky Rocket. I think they're called Devil City Angels. Okay.
And Fred is out in L.A. doing music for TV shows and movies. So he's got a new show on NBC. It's a medical drama called The Night Shift. So he also helped me. He mixed my first single called No Strings. And he would have mixed. I would have had him mix the whole record if he had the time to do it. So we're all keeping busy. As far as me touring with this band, I'm thinking about it. I didn't really think about it until people, all these interviews I'm doing, they're asking me if I'm going to tour, and I'm thinking about it. The video for No Strings, I put a band together. It's my son Sebastian on guitar. He plays in a great band called Mach 22. My bass player is Jasmine Kane, and she's a great singer-songwriter, performer that tours all the time. And my drummer is Matt Arnn from the best rockabilly band in the land called Hillbilly Casino. So I'm thinking about trying to drag these people away from their night jobs.
Yeah, hopefully something comes out of it. It sounds like you got a lot of stuff coming up. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with? Any final thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, Check out No Strings. You can look it up on YouTube. That's about all I know about it. We did a video for it. That's the first single. It's available on iTunes, and if we have the pre-orders for One for the Road, if you go to ratpackrecords.com, you can pre-order bundles that include like T-shirts and signature picks and autographed pictures and autographed CDs, and even there's one ultimate fan bundle that even includes a phone call, a thank you phone call from me.
Oh, awesome.
But you can pre-order it at Amazon, and if you, I'm not sure if I have this right, but if you order it on iTunes, I think if you pre-order the CD on iTunes, you get No Strings download for free. So something like that.
Okay.
It'll be available on all those. We shipped to Best Buy. I think it was Best Buy the other day. It'll be available everywhere, pretty much.
Excellent.
Rat Pack Records.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. Again, Jeff, it's been great having you on. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, Dustin, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.